Interestingly enough, anyway, she spoke about Caitlin Clark, and she spoke kind of about, obviously, Caitlin Clark's initial, time in the WNBA and some things like that. But let's take a listen to what she said. This was actually today.
Caitlin Clark just shook up the WNBA with a leaked body transformation video, and it's clear she's not the same rookie they tried to challenge last season. Forget the idea that she's just a finesse player. She's stronger, more resilient, and ready to take on any...
Not a flagrant foul penalty, should have been upon review. You could have personal, but...
Those days are over. The video circulating online reveals a transformed Caitlin Clark. Bigger, stronger, and more dominant than ever. No one saw this. It's clear that Clark has been putting in serious work, training like an athlete on a mission, refusing to let defenders control her game. If they thought they could get away with roughing her up and relying on no calls like last season, they're in for a surprise. In 2025, Caitlin Clark is setting the tone and taking control. We all saw what went down last season. Caitlin Clark was getting hit on every possession, and the refs acted like their whistles were broken. Meanwhile, other stars in the league were getting calls for the slightest contact. Clark had to take serious hits before a ref even thought about making a call, and even then, half the time, they just looked the other way.
And 3 opportunities.
Clark nudged by Carrington. Clark has some words for her back. Been really just draped all over each other in the 2 meetings and then tonight's game.
Nate Carrington was an absolute her first ever game of the WNBA, forcing 10 Turner to come out of position, get her with the hip.
Clark's first trip to the...
Here's the thing. Clark didn't spend her offseason begging for better treatment. She didn't run to the lead office or plead with officials for more calls. Instead, she took a different approach. She transformed herself into a player who doesn't need the refs to have her back. Now, that's a problem for the rest of the league. Last season, defenders had a simple game plan: get physical, get in her head, and make her second-guess every drive, shot, and move. They believed if they turned the game into a street fight, Clark would back down. And sure, she took her hits. Let's be real. They weren't just playing tough, they were targeting her. But fast forward to now, that strategy is officially dead.
So Lewis still has 1 to get. And a foul there on the baseline.
She hit the weight room like her career depended on it. The arms, the shoulders, the core strength. It's all there. You can tell she's not just lifting weights. She's preparing for battle. And that means when defenders try to bump her off her spot now, it's not Caitlin Clark who's moving. When they swipe at her arms while she's pulling up for a 3, she's strong enough to power through the contact and still drain the shot. When they try to push her out of the paint on a drive,
With Jones will flip it in. Loose ball. Indiana. Great look. Smith able to guard. There's your exclamation point.
best part, she's not just surviving contact anymore, she's initiating it. Last season, you could see the frustration in her eyes. She'd get hacked, look at the ref, and shake her head like, Really, nothing. But this season, if she gets hit, she's not stopping to complain. She's bulldozing through defenders and making them pay for even trying. WNBA defenders aren't ready for this Caitlin Clark. They saw a finesse shooter they could push around. But that's over. She's in her villain arc now, not looking for sympathy or waiting on the refs. If defenders think they can bully her like last season, they're in for a rude awakening.
Slips the screen, like beautifully delivered. We talk about
Clark has the big on her soft and wing three is good. Clark drew two. Back to Clark. Wallace will take the three and drain it.
Caitlin Clark went all in this offseason, and it shows. She built a rock-solid core, making sure defenders can't push her around. Last season, she got knocked off balance while the refs stayed silent.
8 points and every bit of it for their fans because they're fabulous move. Stopping. Tremendous move.
Caitlin Clark wasn't known for her strength last year. Defenders muscled her out of position. Not anymore. She's added power to her elite speed, training for explosive first steps, quick cuts, and unstoppable drives.
To Katie Lou Samuelson.
Christine a little bit early. I said, what's your playing weight now? She said, 1.
you mentioned earlier, Mark. Caitlin.
Key. Not anymore. Clark is blowing past defenders. Her endurance was always elite, but now she's stronger and more confident. Last year, she took hits and waited for calls. This season, she's powering through contact and making defenders pay.